Good morning, everybody. Coffee with Karen. Click. So I'm using the unicorn one because this feels like a unicorn day, especially because one of the topics we're going to talk about is timelines. And, you know, right? Timelines. It just, it is very hard to get well, it's very hard for me to get my head wrapped around. And I know I've been starting to talk about timelines a little bit just as I start to understand them. So I am not an expert at all. And actually, I'm not an expert on most things I talk about here. Actually, I'm not on any of them. I say that. I always just say I'm an expert at facilitating. That's my expertise. So, there's several things we're going to talk about today, and I don't know, this just felt appropriate. Isn't it just so cute? I bought this in Wyoming in honor of my great niece, River, who loves unicorns right now. I mean, I guess I'm getting the sense that a lot of little girls love unicorns. I don't know. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, it's not microwavable, which, I try not to use the microwave that much anyways, but to heat up, I need to get, somebody had recommended a warmer. I have not looked into that yet, so I need to get a warmer, but I would prefer one that was like battery operated or rechargeable, actually. Rechargeable would be good. Okay, so my topic, I have a list today. I usually don't have a list, but I don't know how far I'll get. But so we need to talk about Candace Owen. Um, we need to definitely talk about timelines, and that's probably going to take up most of the time. So my only thing about Candace, and I have, okay, so it's not about her that I'm talking about. Isn't it funny that I just wake up? I'm always like cleaning myself, coughing, getting my lungs clear right on camera. Isn't that great? Uh, so Candace, so the other day I mentioned Candace in a video that I was watching because it was my first introduction to her channel. And I'm like, wow, she's got a lot of viewers. So she must have interesting discussions. Well, anyway, so I'd watched this about 30 minutes. I haven't finished watching it. Of some just an experience this man had on a Navy ship. And in fact, somebody had commented that they remember that actually happening because they were in their maybe young 20s when it happened. Someone in the channel here had commented. So that was really interesting. And anyways, so I come to learn from many of you. I'm going to clean my camera real quick because that's how classy we are around here, that I that I clean my camera while I'm talking to you. I've come to realize that that apparently Candace is, well, I looked it up actually. She is a pretty far right, and people are saying conspiracy theorist or whatever. So I don't have any experience with her. But the reason I wanted to talk about this, one, thank you for pointing that out because I had no idea. So I would prefer, I just mention things that I watch. And if I find something interesting that day, I happen to just mention it because I'm just going with the flow of what I'm doing each day, That doesn't mean that I'm a follower of somebody or anything like that. But, I mean, I'll be more clear if I am. Like, I talk about Lee Harris energies quite a bit. And so you can trust that I pretty much watch that a lot. Hang on a sec. So, there. You know how you can tell it's dirty? Because that right there, my battery operated candle, the flame kind of went like that. So I could tell that the camera was dirty. It's a miracle. So The reason I wanted to talk about this, it's very interesting, and I am getting less and less. I'm sensitized to it now, which is a wonderful place to be. To not be in a place where, like, I just did a video probably 3 days ago about being triggered. Now, I'll get triggered again. I'm absolutely certain. Because again, it just depends. What I talked about then is like when we get triggered, it just depends on the day, how much sleep you had, how much sugar you might have eaten, whatever, what other emotional things you have going on in your life, right? So right now I'm pretty chill. I'm feeling pretty chill. And one of the reasons I just texted my sister yesterday, because this is the first Christmas I am not going to my MAGA's father's Christmas house party. And I feel so good. I feel so good. I literally feel so good. Like, there is nothing in my future. What I would do every time I have to visit him, which will not be anymore for now, but every time I have to visit him, like a month before, I have to I just start getting like a little knot. If you experience that, where every time you have to go someplace and a month before, it's like giving a speech. For people who don't like to give public speeches, if you know you have to give a public speech and you're nervous about it, like really nervous about it, like people would prefer to go to the dentist than to give a public speech type of thing. If you have that feeling before you have to go visit somebody, please pay attention a lot sooner than I did. That is something you shouldn't be doing, just because they're family I know it's complicated. I know it is because I've been dealing with it for 30 years. And this is the first time where I'm like, December? Yes. I'm really looking forward. We're going to our in-laws. Well, my in-laws. We're going to go see Jim's mom. We're going to go stay at his sister's house, one of his sister's houses, have Christmas. And you know what? Like, I'm actually I'm looking forward to it. It's not, it's like, okay, this is great. I get, it'll just be another nice visit. But it's not, there's no knots. It's just amazing. So that's where I'm at for December. Anyways, back to Candace. So what I find, I started talking about triggers and feeling good. See, this is my flow of consciousness. I find very interesting, and this is something I want to keep communicating to the light workers and the empaths, is we need to allow people to be on their path. Okay. Now we can give encouragement and information, but we need to allow everybody to be on their path. Just like I'm allowing my MAGA dad to be on his path now, because I'm done I'm done being in his presence where I have to, I shouldn't say this, but when he says something, I can't help it but to say something in response, because usually it's pretty rude. So, but I'm going to let him be on his path, but I don't need to be on the path with him. Okay. Just like so I'm using Candace as an example. All right. So obviously she came across my feed, and there are people here who know a lot more about her than I do, obviously, because I was like, oh, there's this woman named Candace, and I didn't even know what her last name was, actually. Now, the interview was really quite interesting, and I thought done really well. So, because now that I've learned that she's a right-wing, what people are calling conspiracy theorist, is it okay for me to discover that myself? Or now that someone has said that, is it inappropriate for me? And I know the answer for this. I hope you know the answer. Is it inappropriate for me to continue exploring her interviews because they look interesting, and then come to the conclusion myself that what she's talking about is not a space I want to be in, let's just say. And to me, the answer is yes. Okay. So it's like finding that balance, especially online, finding that balance of giving people information, which I'm so grateful that there are several people who said, just FYI, FYI. FYIs are amazing because what you're doing with FYIs is you're giving people information, but you're not telling them what to do with it. You know what I mean? So I think there was one person who said as a follow-up, like, and talking about me in the third person, which is fine, but we do, I read those, so it's funny to hear my name like being discussed in the third person, but that's okay. So somebody said, yeah, she was talking about it and it made, like it was a red, like I've been listening to her for a while, but it was a red flag, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it can definitely be a red flag, but I would guess that there's red flags for a lot of people for a lot of things I say. Because we're never going to be, all of us are in different places about all different things, right? So it's fascinating to me. I think I just want to communicate so light workers, empaths, if you want to be effective, which is actually, where did I read this? Oh, hang on. I got to get this book that I was reading last night. It's really, really good for this discussion we're having. Okay, so last night I was reading, this is very good if anybody wants to consider supporting Sarah. She is on YouTube, and so I bought her book recently, and it was in my pile. I still am trying to get to the book that I started doing book club on the site here about spirit guides. So I'm going to get to that at some point and continue talking about it again. I'll leave a link down below. It would be an affiliate link if you want to get this from Amazon. It just supports the channel a little bit. But anyways, so basically in terms of light workers, empaths, so I think this is a really important message, okay? And it's just a matter of how you communicate with other people. I do absolutely agree that we should have boundaries, and because this topic's going to lead into my timeline topic, okay? So I absolutely agree we should have boundaries in life, that if you have a knot about something like that, you're going to a family event, that there's something there that you should pay attention to, and maybe it's okay for you not to go to that event anymore, as an example, okay? Because however, that doesn't mean that everybody, so the rest of my family is going to that family function because they have always enjoyed it. And so I'm not judging them. I'm not judging them for going to that. Okay. So just like listening to Candace is not good for people, then, but it may not, I'm not there yet because I don't know her well enough. Does that make sense? And so it's just being careful. Again, facts and information are very helpful, but if there's judgment, which there wasn't when people mentioned her, but there was more like, be careful, you know what I mean? Which is good. I wanted to be heads up, but I also feel like I would have discovered that myself at some point. But I also want to be careful of what I'm talking about on the channel too, so that for me, was very helpful information. Okay. But it did bring up this like, well, how do we give information to people, but also let people be on their path, you know? So in Sarah's book here, there was a paragraph that I do rabbit ear my books. I know that drives some people crazy, but I do it. Oprah does it too, by the way. And yes, I do like Oprah. Okay. It is not your responsibility to awaken everyone or save a broken world. It is not your responsibility to hypothetically throw everyone over your shoulder and carry them across the finish line or figure it out for them. It is your responsibility to live the great awakening for yourself and transform your own consciousness into pure love and complete freedom. It is about taking personal responsibility for every area of your life and every aspect of your creation. Only you can determine what taking personal responsibility for your life means to you. It is not a judgment of right or wrong. It is simply about being conscious and aware of how you are living your life and expressing your truth in the world around you. Because, so there are people also who, like, if we start to, like, if I do that video on the drones and the ETs or whatever, and that's triggering to some people, that they think that because we're talking about it, that we're not staying in the light. Okay. But that's not true. That's not true. And that's what I'm going to talk about, the timeline thing, because the channel, I'll have to remind myself who the person was. The Galactic Council of Nine being channeled through this person on YouTube, and I'll remind you who she is. But because they talk about timelines, and one of the way they talk about it really makes a lot of sense to me, and I want to go over those with you. So I think it's fine to remind people, like, one way you could do this, like if you're leaving a comment about if you say don't do this, stay in the light, there's judgment there. If you say one way to approach this, one of the ways I'm approaching this is to stay in the light, and staying in the light is going to mean different things for different people, So I think as light workers and empaths and feelers, especially feelers probably understand what I'm talking about here more than anybody, but well, maybe not. I don't know. But I'm getting more and more. I think we have a lot of angst in our life because we want to control everything that's going on outside of us. If I think back to the most angst I've had is because I want to control what people think about me. I want to control people's behavior. I want to carry them. Basically, if we took her, let's just say, okay, so she says, Sarah again, it is not your responsibility to awaken everyone. Let's just say it said, it is your responsibility to awaken everyone. Okay, I think that's how most of us think. Let's go the opposite. I think most of us think it is our responsibility to awaken everyone. And when we do that, that's where depression sets in. That's where anxiety sets in, because we're taking responsibility to awaken everyone, or at least everyone around us, or save a broken world. It's not your responsibility. It's not my responsibility to save a broken world. It's not. So let's just say it is. So it is your responsibility to save a broken world. I mean, doesn't that sound kind of silly? And that's what people are getting. There are some people who are still experiencing huge despair over the election. And I get it. I totally get it, because I was there as well. Like, deeply there. And you'll know it because you'll go back to some of my Coffee with Karens and you can see it. but I'm coming to the conclusion through more spiritual conversations, reading, especially because I've had the privilege of facilitating in this community, and it's really allowing me to continue to grow in a massive way. So I can't thank you enough. It's just, I feel, thank you for being here, really. If there was like 5 people here, I would be very grateful because it's allowing me, although I do like more and more, the more I do like that. I like that there's more and more people finding it and more people participating. But that's not because I have a need to awaken everyone. It's not. I just think it's delightful the more people are here that are in kind of this exploration space. It's interesting. It's fine for people if you're in the knowing space, but this is more of an exploration space. Because I'm 55 and I have been exploring these topics my whole life. And I'm not in a knowing space. I feel like you're only in a knowing space if you're like Jesus, or Buddha or something. I don't know. You may think you're in a knowing space sometimes, and it's like every day I'll be like, whoa, like I did an aha email or conversation yesterday. I was like, I was in a knowing space for like 5 minutes, and I just had to share it. And then, then I'm back to exploring again. So I think that's what I'm encouraging those here who's listening is if you're leaving comments for people, if you're talking to people, be in the exploration space with people. So the way you leave comments is more about exploration than knowing. Because the way people leave comments, and you guys know that when you type something, it comes off very different than when you are talking, because you want to write things the way you would talk to people. Because if you would never say something to someone's face the way you write it, then that's not good. Like, don't write it if you're not willing to say it to their face the way that you say it. But maybe help the world by communicating in an exploration way and not in a knowing way. Because nobody likes to be told what to do. They just don't. And everybody's in a different space, So there'll be people who'll be like, you're talking about, every once in a while I'll get a comment like, and again, it's not triggering to me today at all. And then it wasn't either because I'm like, okay, that's fine, But instead of just moving along, people feel the need to comment and say, because this is, and that's okay because that's how I'm learning about people, Like I'm learning about this being an exploration space or having even this conversation. When I get comments, it gives me ideas for conversation. It gives me more things to explore. So I'm actually quite appreciative of people just being who they are in the comments because it does give me more things to explore here. But somebody will be like, you're talking about this, bye, and I'm like, it's like... So they're basically saying you're talking about something that I don't want you to talk about. And so I'm unsubscribing from you as like it's this threat or something, I don't know. I just find human behavior quite interesting. It's the sociologist in me. I find it quite interesting. And if I saw that comment, I'm probably sure I did that to somebody in the past because now I get to experience it. I don't know that I did, but, obviously I did something to experience it. So it is not even though you might feel it is not your responsibility to awaken everyone. And I just love that when Sarah says that. And this is, she's channeling the council. She's a direct channel too. I can't remember who you guys might know. It might take me too long to find it here. I don't want to waste your time, but she calls it the council. That's what she calls it. The council. So it is not your responsibility to awaken everyone or save a broken world. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So like people are feeling very, very devastated still. And people are going to be devastated at the end of this week if there's no big reveal at the end of this week or something. Again, trusting the timing, trusting the universe. The universe, if you've asked what you wanted, and you got to ask, if you've asked what you wanted and you took some action to, maybe communicate with the White House or whatever, which I've done all of that, then we have to trust the divine timing. It is not our job to fix the broken world. It's not our job. Our job is to keep our vibration as high as possible, and we will do that through exploration. And our job is to take action when there's something we're moved to do, like write a letter to the White House or to Harris or whoever, and take care of ourselves, not try to save everybody. It is not your responsibility to hypothetically throw everyone over your shoulder and carry them across the finish line or figure it out for them. Don't figure it out for people. It is your responsibility to live the great awakening for yourself and transform your own consciousness into pure love and complete freedom, which is great. It's just that you are going to, as a human being, you're going to go in and out of that, which is why, and as a channel, we're going to go in and out of that, because I'm going to facilitate this channel, one, because there's things I'm interested in exploring, and I'm not going to not talk about certain things because it's triggering for some people, or it's not in the light. And I'll tell you, it's kind of interesting. If you go on to channels, I talked about this the other day. If you go on to channels and there was a video, this lady was like, living from your heart or something was the subject line. If you go into those, they hardly get any clicks. I know, it's fascinating, isn't it? So I'm not talking about it just to get clicks, but it's because people are exploring things that are a little bit more difficult, as I am. And that just because we're exploring topics that are more difficult doesn't mean we're not staying in the light, because I think you can do both. I think you can keep your vibration high and still explore. Now, yesterday I was talking about not watching like murder mysteries and stuff because it was making me feel icky, so that's not staying in the light. So, but that's, at one point I was exploring human behavior when it came to murder mysteries. So, but for me, other people might love it still and don't feel angst. So if they can watch that and don't feel a knot or feel icky when they're done watching it, then that means they're still in the light, because you just have to be self-aware enough to know if it's changing the way you see the world. It was really changing the way I saw the world because I wasn't going out and interacting with the world. So you just have to be self-aware enough to know if what you're exposing yourself to is taking you out of a space that's better for you to be in, to help the world by being in the light and keeping your vibration high. I couldn't keep my vibration high by watching murder mysteries. There are people who can. That's my point. You may not believe it, but there are. I'm not going to say there aren't. I bet you there are people. If you're one of them, admit it. You say, yeah, I can stay in the light and watch murder mysteries. So that's where I'm trying to get at, is that if you can't stay in the light by watching murder mysteries, then you shouldn't watch them. But don't assume that other people can't. Okay. So like if I were to continue watching a few more episodes of Candace and find some of that interesting and find that the interviews were like legit, like good information, does that mean that I'm, contributing to conspiracy theory and all that. However, personally, now that I know that, what I don't want to do, I mean, I looked into her, so what I don't want to do is contribute financially to her. So then that's my choice, right? So that's the same way I feel about certain stores, about shopping at certain stores. Now, am I going to judge other people for shopping at those stores? No, I'm not. Because when they walk into those stores, they don't feel the angst that I feel. So when I walk into those stores, I can't feel good, which means I'm not, I mean, that's an indication that I shouldn't be shopping there. So anyways, yeah, so that's 30 minutes. Are you going to hang in there with me about this timeline thing, or should I make that a separate conversation? Well, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Because this timeline thing, this conversation for me is never, it's gonna take a while. So I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Yvonne. Thank you so much. So one of our community members, Yvonne, she heard me talking about the Council of Nine. And so then, let's see. So I think she went and listened to it, or maybe she had listened to it prior to that. And she then went, because I was like, I don't know about the timeline thing, and are we in different timelines? And are the SGs talking from one timeline into another? Or are they talking from a current, the future timeline versus, so I'm just exploring these ideas because I think it's fascinating. And I know like some people are in the comments, especially if this is the first time you're hearing about timelines, they're like, I can't even, like, it just blows your mind. And I understand because it was maybe like 4 months ago that I was right there. So I am not that far ahead of you in terms of this timeline discussion. And some of you may be way far ahead of me. So feel free to add, if you feel something would be helpful in the chat, in the comments, just to help people, and that would be like giving people resources. Like, how did you come to understand timelines better? Giving people resources, not expecting people to come to the same understanding where you're at right now, but helping people along that, if that's what you want to do, is helping people along that, those kind of things would be helpful. Well, anyway, so she broke down, Yvonne, thank you so much, seriously, broke down, okay, so the channel is Erilyn. Erilyn is the human who channels the Council of Nine, okay? And I'm trying to see, let me pull up her, because I really, it's very important to me to give credit to people where information comes from. Okay, so this is her channel. So it's Pamela Erilyn Channeling. At Pamela Erilyn. Okay. Really interesting. At least a couple episodes I've listened to. And I did post the one in my community tab. What was the one I just listened to that I was talking about yesterday? It had to do with the drones. Well, anyways, I posted it in the community tab. So in the drone video, the council was counseling on the timelines. So that's what Yvonne sent me, just a breakdown of the different timelines. Okay, so she basically said there's like a gazillion timelines, like billions of timelines. But then they talked about 3 options. Okay, so one option is when you connect your thoughts and streams to fear. Okay, so that's the third D reality, is when you connect your thoughts and streams to fear. Okay, so yeah, so we come in and out of that, if we watch fear-mongering things, then we're going to connect. It's very hard to not connect your thoughts to fear, which is why a lot of people are not watching mainstream media or even any of the media that talks about things that are triggering. And I find it quite different when we ask questions about the to the SGs about 45. To me, that's really different. It may not be different for you guys, but it's really different for me when I'm exploring things versus saying what he's doing. That I can't. Like following his daily moves or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's me, because that gets me out of the light. Okay, it gets me keeps me in 3D reality, which is when you connect your thought streams to fear. Okay, that's option number 1. Option number 3, because we're gonna go 1, 3, and then come back, like the middle ground, which is I'm always looking for the middle ground. I love the middle ground. Option 3, the way of love and compassion. Okay. So option 3 is basically, let's see. So they did call the option 3 the way of love and compassion. So it's basically like option 1 is staying in fear, 3D reality. Option 3 is love and compassion all the time. All the time. Never discuss anything that would be outside of love and compassion, which is what quite a few people I see on channels mentioning. Stay in the love, stay in the light, stay in the love, stay in the light. Okay. So that's what they're trying to do, which is fine. I'm not judging that. That's their space. Okay. But then she says, the council says, but those aren't the only choices. There is option 2. As you become more awakened to your true cosmic and collective nature, those of you who realize this fully will choose option number 2, which we would like to call the middle way. In the middle way, you can see all realms of choosing, which is exactly what I'm talking about here today. About letting people find their paths and not judging that. Okay? It's partly what I'm talking about. In the middle way, you can see all realms of choosing. The middle way is the way of unification. The middle way is the way of unification. That's beautiful. So if you're staying in the fear, which honestly is where I personally see MAGA, and then you're over here, the love, the light, the love, the light, the love, the light, that is very separate. That is very separate. Okay? There's a middle ground that they're suggesting. This is coming from higher beings, not from me and not from Pamela. Okay? So it's something to consider. Now, if it doesn't feel good to you, then your inner guidance is saying, I don't want to be at option 2. Your inner guidance is saying, I'm going to stay at option 3, or I'm not ready for either 2 or 3. And that's okay. You can be in this space in option 1, 2, or 3. Okay? Because this space is exploration space. So the middle way is the way of unification. In the middle way, you're not attempting to create an agenda to make those who choose chaos and fear in the 3D plane of existence shift, change, or be no more. You're not attempting to convert people into the middle way. You simply see all the choices and you understand that this cosmic soup can be chaotic or exciting. It can be fearful or an opportunity to implement the greatest essence of your purpose. If you choose option 2, that is wonderful because you can support those who choose option 2, who choose number 1 in that parallel reality, so that parallel timeline, and those who choose option number 3 in their parallel timeline. So you can choose that, 1, 3. Okay. I just love that. So for me in this channel and what we're going to talk about is option 3, which is why I'm not ignoring the topics of the world. Okay. Because right now, that's not the space I'm in. I am just, and I didn't even, it's just, says it so well for me. That's why I resonate with this, because that's how I feel. So that's why this was a perfect, so that's why that episode that I listened to Pamela's really resonated with me. Now you might listen to it and it doesn't resonate with you at all, because maybe you're in a different reality. Okay. Which could be the 3 or this was my 1 over here, the 3D reality of fear. And then listening to her is it's actually causes more fear, because you're like, I'm not doing that. So what does that mean? And I used to feel that way about Esther Hicks, because I was very much living in the 3D reality, and I wasn't at 2 or 3 when I was listening to her, which was maybe 15 years ago. Esther Hicks is on YouTube, and she channels Abraham. And they talk mostly about the law of attraction. Like, if you're going to learn about the law of attraction, that's the source. That is one really good source. Okay. But I was so in the 3D reality when I was listening to them, and they're way over. I mean, they're actually here. They're in option 2, if I think about the way that they discuss things, because they're exploring where people are, but they're trying, so their concepts are bringing people from 3 to 2 or 1 to 2. But I could not. I was so in 3D reality. I think that's why it was so hard for me. I wonder now if I could listen to them. I'm sure I could, and stay in 2, and understand them more. So anyways, I just love that so much for me. And that's where this channel is. Now, I'm not saying this channel is going to stay there for, the channel is going to the channel is going to go where I go. That's just the reality of it. Everybody's channel goes wherever they go. So we have to even allow, unless they're like, teaching you a class, like how to speak a language or something. But these spirituality channels the channels are going to go where the facilitator is going, and that's where you have to decide which facilitators you are connecting with. If you're connecting with me right now, it's a good space for you, right? But if I start shifting, let's just say I shift back to 1, which I won't, but I can't even imagine. No, I will never do that. But let's just say I shift to 3 only. And you're used to this being an exploration channel and a unification between 1 and 3. Okay. And I love that concept of being in a unification of 1 and 3. And that's so the more I explore these, and thank you to these other spiritual leaders for bringing these. I mean, here I've already mentioned 2 today, Sarah, who channels directly, and Pamela. So check out both of their YouTube channels. But I would say that I don't know. I would say that most of what they talk about is kind of in the 3 realm. And I'd have to say there are, I know a lot of people. I've watched Next Soul. What is it called? I'm going to get a lot of people commenting now. Next Soul. Shoot. I just don't want just one person put it in the comments. We don't need the comments to be flooded with it. You guys know what I'm talking about, I think. It's a podcast and they do an interview. I can't think of it. Or, I can't think of these names. Why I can't think of their names is because it's not where I'm at. Well, plus I don't remember people's names very much. There's a couple others, and it's not even important actually. It's not important that I call them out because I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying that when I listen to them, I don't find it that interesting because it's not where I'm at, you know? And sometimes I do. Sometimes I find it interesting, but I'm way more in the exploration of things. And I think that's because I'm in the 2. Some of the podcasts are in the 3. And I would even say possibly that Sarah's, I'm not 100% sure, but I would say possibly that Sarah's is in the 3 area. And Lee Harris energy is definitely in the 3. So I do listen to them, but not as much as I listen to people who are maybe that are probably in the 2 timeline. Isn't that fascinating? So really, you guys, timelines, you know, are they real? It's just, is it really a timeline, or like just to keep it on a human understanding level? So somebody said her little pea brain or something. No, she said, yeah, something like that. And I was like, yeah, my little pea brain can't keep up with that either. But, you know, you could be living with someone who's on the 3D timeline and you're on the 1 timeline, or the 3 timeline, the love and compassion only. That's not easy, is it? I mean, good luck finding people that are only on just 100% of the time on this timeline. And here's the thing. We're on that timeline when we're in heaven. And so I'm on earth right now to have an experience. So I don't want to be in fear at all. Like, I do not have an interest in spending time here. That doesn't mean I don't experience fear, and you'll know it when because I tell you, or sadness or whatever. But I'm on earth to have an experience. I'm on earth to taste things, you know? I'm not on earth to pretend like the crap isn't happening. That's how I feel. I want to experience it, but experience it here, not here. So I think that's what we're going to do, continuing in this channel, is explore things from number 2, not from fear mongering. That's why I'm not using clickbait. You know, you must hear this today. Oh my gosh, those people. No, I shouldn't say it like that. It's just so funny, you know, because I think when you're in 2 or 3, you can see right through that, right? But people who are living in that 3D or the fear reality, well, they love those. But when you start to see through it, or you're like, I'm totally turned off by that, you're in 2 or 3, I think. Okay, so let me know what you think. I am going to use this card today in card deck, first time. Angels and ancestors. Let's just see. I'm kind of exploring all my new card decks. I literally have like 15 more I have to open. I don't know. Do you guys like my unboxing videos? I don't get huge views on them, but who needs to use 1,700 people is a lot. And I don't know how far you guys go, but I like doing them. So the backside of these cards, really cool. These are from Kyle Gray. I'll list them in the description of the video. The only problem is I have not cleansed them yet. So I'm going to stop right now and do that because I really want to use this deck. Okay, so, and if you're wondering how I clear them, I basically use my prayer. I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides and guardians, and ask Archangel Michael to please protect this channel so it's only of the light. Amen. Which is listed in my description below, because sometimes people like to use that as their basis to create their own prayer. And you can use mine totally if you want to, but I go through and I say it over and over again as I touch each card. And so just get the card on my energy. People say to knock 3 times, so I'm doing that. Knock. I can't, every time I say that, I have to sing that. Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Okay, how many people know that song? Hello. Younger people, do you know that song? Is that a song that has come into your consciousness? Some songs, they obviously live on and on and on. So, okay, I had a card pop already as I was doing this. And so I was asking for, they know I want a message for today based on the topic that we were talking about. So let's see what it is. And as always, I encourage you, if you have a journal, to write down first see the image. What do you see? And again, this is angels and ancestor. Wait, is it? Yeah, angels and ancestors. So it's like our ancestors, which I think is amazing. I love that concept of this deck. Plus, it's not shiny, which I enjoy. Okay, there are no numbers on this. So if you see anything, maybe it's the look in the eyes. What do you see? So write that down in your journal or on a piece of paper. Anything that just calls to you. What message did you get just now? Again, this channel is about helping each of us find our own answers. So yeah, I could say what I saw, but that's not important. It's not important what I saw. It's important what you saw. Okay? Here's the winter. Oh, not everybody's in winter though. Who's here? Take care of your needs. I wish your was in all caps. Take care of your needs. That's exactly what Sarah said. Remember? Okay, so let's read about it, and then you can be on your merry way. If anybody's still here, I like it. I like doing these at the end. Gives you it just kind of is. I just started doing this week, is giving an angel card reading at the end, because I think it's a nice way to kind of wrap things up. Okay, here it is. Message. Do everything you need to be at your best. So do everything you need to be at your best. Then move beyond your fears and limitations. For many of the animal realm, winter is a time of hibernation and retreat. You may wish to curl up in a ball too, but although you may not feel as bright as you'd like to be, a primal force within is encouraging you to continue. The winter card features a wolf, one of few animals that stay active all year round. Wolves know what it's like to work alone or thrive within a pack. So if you feel you need to go alone at this time, know that wolf medicine will help you move beyond your insecurities and relax in your own space. Then there's an extended message. You have an opportunity to move beyond your fears. Although you may feel in the dark, get comfortable with being in the unknown and trust that the light within you will sustain you through what may seem a challenging process. Ask yourself what you need to do to feel supported and alive. I love that. Write that in your journal. Ask yourself what you need to feel supported and alive. You may uncover something from your past that you have buried deep. Know that when you unearth it and shed light on it, you create space for miracles. You may feel like a lone wolf right now, but it's time for you to be the alpha. When the winter card arrives in the future position of a spread, which I didn't do a spread, or as the last card in a reading, it can also indicate that the coming winter will usher an important energy with regards to your question or intentions. Okay. So you may feel like you're a lone wolf right now, but it's time for you to be the alpha. I'd have to unpack that a little bit, but let me know what you think, if that resonated with you at all, and have an amazing day. All right. Maybe I'll see you tonight. I tend to do. I'll probably do an angel card reading tonight because I've been doing SGs quite a bit. So I feel like doing an angel card reading tonight. Okay. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for your support. Really appreciate it. If you want to do any of these, that would be amazing. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.